This is just so dumb. This is all just part of the dumb thing. This is why I also like the whole notion of President Musk. I get it. But let's, there's a sense of the sort of the Lincoln Project mentality, which is if we get under Trump's skin, we need to progress past this because the problem is not Donald Trump and the problem is not Elon Musk. By saying President Trump, all you're doing is trying to get under Donald Trump's skin. By saying the Republicans are owned by billionaires, that the billionaire sneezes and the Republicans run, are a piece of tissue or whatever it is, whatever clever thing you need to come up with. But this dynamic, Republicans are the problem. Oligarchy is the problem. Not whether Trump or Musk is the oligarch. That's just, it's not going to, the only thing is literally, it's masturbatory. It is literally just like it's like a bubble bath for a certain segment of the population. That's great, but we need something more than a bubble bath. This is a perfect example of it. These two bubble bathers here, and let's also be clear. Just even the way that these people are so compromised, even with their sort of performance that they did over the course of the. Really, when they fell out of favor with Donald Trump, it was all just a performance. This is
and sucking up to Biden. I don't know if there's one news show that's more responsible for the horror show that we're about to see than Morning Joe in and of itself, which told Biden some bedtime stories for a clearly addled man that if they were close with him, they probably were aware of this, about how he could win with an approval rating which in a way that was historically unprecedented. And when there were concerns about his acuity going back to 2019. So thanks to these guys, we're in part in the situation that we're in.
And here they are, this is just so blinkered. Go ahead.
They have been saying for weeks now, no retribution. He's not going to do retribution. We don't have time for retribution. I mean, this sort of talk early on, it's bad for everybody. It's
pause
bad
it for a
the
second.
House
Pause it. Now, this is what's just so completely nauseating. They're talking about, investigating Liz Cheney because of her role on the J6 committee. I can't even remember.
They made her the star of the January 6th committee when it could have been a Democrat.
They made her the star of it, and apparently she met with some whistleblower before the committee, whatever it was. But Scarborough is the way that he pitches this, this is bad for everybody. This is his, this is them trying to be a Trump whisperer. We're in your corner. Go ahead.
Early on, it's bad for everybody. It's bad for the House Republicans. It's bad for Donald Trump. It's bad for, the markets. I mean, this is what we've been talking about. Retribution blew back on Democrats through the years. Donald Trump will probably be the first to say that he got elected in part because he was sitting at a criminal defendant's table this summer. It made him a martyr. You put Liz Cheney there, or you even talk about it. And you put out these stupid reports that this House subcommittee has put out. You're making her a martyr. You're making her bigger.
Pause it right there on that guy's face. That is the face of a guy who's thinking, what the hell are you talking about? How am I going to respond to this in a way that's not going to get me disinvited from the show? Liz Cheney's career is over.
Yep.
It's over. Donald Trump did not become president because he was in a courtroom for those things. The only thing that did is it kept him from being out in the public and prevented him from having to actually take positions that may have been detrimental to him before. The percentage of people that came out and voted for Donald Trump because he was aggrieved was always going to be 100%, and it was never it's just an absurd theory. And then from what public position is Liz Cheney going to
be a martyr?
She was useless to the Democrats.
Yeah.
Useless to the Republicans. These guys are just holding on. It's really they're talking about themselves that they're afraid of, like being disempowered. It's absurd.
In terms of Liz Cheney's influence, what happens when you multiply zero by many times over in terms of how strong this is going to make her? It's still going to be zero, because no one outside of the DC Beltway, I've never seen a more DC Beltway focused conversation. No one cares. And anybody that already knew that Liz Cheney was in opposition to Donald Trump trying to overturn the election, and people who were going to vote for Kamala Harris, that Venn diagram is a circle. And then everyone else that heard the name Cheney ended up associating it with, yeah, wasn't that the guy that helped kill like hundreds of thousands of Muslims? And isn't Biden kind of doing that right now? At least like slaughtering a lot in Gaza? That's the connection that was made. But they don't even think like that, because their Beltway brain is so like both self-interested in their own narrative, because if Liz Cheney's politics are affirmed, so is Joe Scarborough's. And if that kind of political future exists for a figure like Liz Cheney, they're relevant again. Right now, they're tanking in the ratings because they did resistance liberalism and they built up the myth of Joe Biden. And both of those two things have kind of just dissipated. I mean, the myth of Joe Biden is the myth.
The idea that he's sitting there this isn't, this is not analytical. There's no data to support this at all. Liz Cheney's, I would suggest that the idea that they're going to prosecute Liz Cheney, and they won't, but the idea that they would, has moved her approval rating, whatever it is, not 1 point. They're trying to be prescriptive to suck up to Trump.
Yeah.
This is the way, like, Trump, we have your best interests in mind. You shouldn't do this. And just coincidentally, also, if you don't do this to Liz Cheney, they won't come after us. I mean, that's what's going on here.
Right.
Like this is sort of layers of self-interest on this, and it is such a disservice. It's supposed to be
news. This is supposed to be news.
So bizarro.
Have a personal blog. Talk about it with your therapist. They can afford one. If you're personally concerned about your future and your career, that is for the private, like your private conversation. Let's not make this, something that's not.
Hey, with Trump's inauguration coming up, we're already seeing what the next 4 years will look like. His senior campaign official threatened Pennsylvania election workers with jail time for counting mail-in ballots with technical errors like missing dates. The real issue with that? Only one left-leaning outlet has covered this story, leaving Trump's base room to dominate the narrative. This isn't just about Pennsylvania. It's a preview of the tactics we're going to see for the next 4 years, so we can't afford not to pay attention. That's why I've been a longtime partner with Ground News. It's an independent app and website that shows us how important stories shaping our lives get covered or ignored across the political spectrum. Plus, it gives context on why they might be missing from our feeds in the first place. For those of you feeling politically burnt out, Ground News makes it easy to stay informed without feeling overwhelmed. Their daily briefings give you a quick, factual breakdowns of the day's biggest stories from every angle. They are also knocking down the price of their top-tier Vantage plan to under $5 a month for our listeners. Just go to ground.news/majority or scan my QR code to subscribe. It's their biggest discount of the year. And maybe even gift one to someone you know. By supporting Ground News, you're not just supporting my channel, you're ensuring independent voices don't disappear. Because what's happening in Pennsylvania is a warning. If we don't push back now, the next election is going to be even harder. Hey folks, don't forget to hit the subscribe button and check out our daily show. We do it every day at 12 p.m. Eastern for about 2.5 hours. We even take phone calls. You should check that out.